Hey guys, my name is Max, and today I'll be talking to you about about international project management, advantages and disadvantages. Wait, what's going on here? Wait, what are these emerging markets? That's a great question, and I'll get through that in this presentation. So forget about that intro and about those images. What I'm going to be talking about is emerging markets on a global scale, and what better way to start than from the beginning. So in 1980, the International Finance Corporation wanted to have a breakthrough of opportunity in a way that they wanted to present new data to investors um, through involving third world countries. And these countries weren't really looked at as they were had a stigma of poverty and low quality resources. But what IFC did is they invested in 10 local stock markets in various countries, such as Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Greece, just to name a few. And they actually got a pretty high return on investment. So, as this snowballed forward, this gentleman here, whose name I will butcher, Antoine van Achtmal, he went to New York to the Solomon Brothers and proposed this idea of a global investment fund for stock markets in developing countries, named the Third World Equity Fund. The idea was greatly backed, but the name wasn't, and so he changed it to the term emerging markets, which is stuck till today. So when we're considering the emerging markets, these include developing countries, and they have a number of characteristics. First of all, being that they have a high market volatility, and that means that is due to political instability. You've got fluctuations of prices in the markets, and you also have supply and demand shortages due to an impact of natural disasters. Up next, you've got your growth and investment potential. So, a lot of these countries are developing, as I mentioned, and that provides a lot of room for industrialization, and that excites investors as projects are abundant, and so is the scope of work that can be done. This then leads to higher rates of economic growth. So, as this industrialization rolls in, governments are employing policies and laws to back this, and GDP is on the rise. Finally, our income per capita. So these countries have a mid to low income per capita, and it increases alongside GDP as industrialization goes through. And what I wanted to mention really quickly is BRICS. So BRICS is an organization formed in 2009 with the addition of South Africa in 2010, and they combine. They're the powerhouses of the emerging markets, and they combine for 25% of the world's GDP, and they're believed to be the future dominant suppliers of manufactured goods, services, and raw materials by 2050. So we're studying project management. You're considering, you know, what has emerging markets got to do with this? So on an international scale, emerging markets have a number of impacts, which includes, job creation, your economic growth, the advancement of technologies for developing countries, and the reduction of poverty. And how that influences us is that as these countries, go from being developing to developed, and they industrialize, the amount of projects significantly increases, and that is where us as project managers come in to manage these projects and to you know get the highest return on investments for investors. And so finally, I just wanted to mention some of the resources that I used. And if you're curious more about it, so you've curious more about emerging markets, we have the International Monetary Fund. You've got the International Finance Corporation, just to name a few. The World Economic Forum. I've actually watched a video about the strategy going forward with emerging markets, actually hosted by Thorold Barker, who is a journalist, a financial journalist in America. And also, you've got some other interesting people, such as Gary Lawrence, who is an investor in Australia, and he is a co-founder of his own company, and also Vladimir and Lourdes Casanova, who are very high up in the emerging market kind of game, and they do have a lot of wisdom to share. So they are definitely some people to look up. So thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something today.